The Display Files menu item was intended only to provide the absolute minimum of information about a file, mostly whether or not it exists and how many records are in it. A supervisor might use this menu item to determine how many batches of a particular job have already been started. Unibase can give you much more data about a file when you use the Display Files Information menu item under File Functions. From the main menu, we choose Advanced Processing, File Functions, Item B, Display File Information. You might want to notice that this choice says Enter File Names to Display, and menu item A says Enter File Names to List. We can use any of the methods for choosing the files that were described in the prior lesson, only this time we get a separate screen full of information about each file selected. Let's do the simplest choice first and enter SURV1. Yeah, we do get a lot more information on this one. Here's the file name, SURV1. Here's our standard job name, Survey. That's the job that was used to key the file. It was created on Valentine's Day, last accessed on March the 3rd. Operator Student created the file. He keyed 33 records in a little over 17 minutes and put in one error flag. Since the number of records verified is 0, we have no verify operator, and of course the total time in verification is 0, and so is the number of corrections. The batch was last accessed by student in examine mode, and he terminated the batch when he left. There's no file log associated with this batch, so no file edit has been run against it. And it hasn't been output yet because we don't have a device that it has been output to. All these zeros on the bottom are the 32 accumulators that Unibase provides, and I particularly want you to notice, you can count them on your own, that there are 14 zeros for each accumulator. Later on, we're going to use that information when we start talking about numeric values in Unibase when we get into programming. Okay, if we want to display file information about more than one file, we'll use our asterisk wildcard, SURV asterisk. We still only get one screen full of information for each file. This is the first file, SURV001. Gary was the one who entered this information. The next file is Serve1. We see this more in the lower left-hand corner. That tells us there is still more information to come. And as we press the release to proceed, we keep getting a different file. When we're on the last file, we see this word total of 7 files, and that lets us know that this is the last file that we displayed. If we want to display file information on a much longer list, let's say everything that starts with the letter S, we get our first batch, and again we start pressing release. But suppose we get tired, particularly since we don't know how many there are, so we'll go ahead and hit the help to abort, and we're back to our File Functions menu. Let me show you one more thing about this entry. First, I'm going to choose item A, Display Files, put in text asterisk. We get 2 files, both of which have 0 records, but that's all the information that we have about it. If we use Display File Information on text asterisk, we learn a little more about the files. The first one is a legitimate Unibase file. It was created using standard job UB_test, and operator student didn't enter any records. When we release to see something about the next file, Unibase can't open it to display this information, so this file is not a Unibase file. It may have been put there by someone else for other purposes. We'll look at a couple more files. just so you can see some different information. We choose B for display file information. We'll take our subdirectory student and we'll look at all the files that start with DUP. The first file has been partially verified, 2 records out of 7, and 9 corrections have been made. The second file has been fully verified, 7 records out of 7. Its status is verified. It took over 34 minutes to make 68 corrections, even though the keyer only took 5 minutes to key it. But remember that we use this batch to demonstrate how to make corrections. That's why there are so many of them, not that the keyer had 2 left hands. And our last batch, I don't think has anything really interesting in it. Okay, that takes care of this lesson, and see you in the next one.